The dog tags were so old and tarnished that most people couldn't read them. They hung around the neck of a man everyone knew as worthless, a homeless drunk who spent his days panhandling and his nights screaming from nightmares in the park. Social services had given up on him. The VA had no record of him. His own family had disowned him decades ago. Until one day, a military historian visiting the town happened to see those tags and realized he was looking at a ghost. A man who had officially died a hero 40 years ago, but had been living as forgotten trash ever since. Welcome to One Human, One Story. Before we continue with this powerful story of lost identity and unexpected discovery, have you ever encountered someone who was rejected by society, but actually had an extraordinary past? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button and help us honor those who were never meant to be forgotten. Millbrook was a quiet town. Nestled in the foothills of the Colorado mountains, population 8,000, a perfect stopping point for tourists. Its main street was filled with antique shops, cafes, and small museums. People came here seeking peace, to escape problems, city chaos, the stress of life. But like every town, Millbrook had its problem, and that problem's name was Billy. Nobody knew his real name. Everyone just called him Billy sometimes, Crazy Billy or Drunk Billy. In his 60s, maybe older, nobody knew for sure. Long gray hair, disheveled beard, unkempt eyes, always cloudy. His clothes were the same every season. Torn jeans, old black t-shirt, and a worn military jacket with a faded camouflage pattern. Billy had no home. Sometimes he slept on the bench in Lincoln Park, sometimes behind the stores on Main Street. When winter was harsh, he took shelter in the heated entrance of the City Hall building. He constantly moved his belongings, an old shopping cart filled with plastic bags containing items nobody knew about. Billy's biggest problem wasn't alcohol, as everyone thought. His biggest problem was the nights. Every night around 2 a.m., he would wake up screaming, "Charlie is coming, Charlie is coming." He would shout, swinging his fists in the air as if fighting invisible enemies. Neighbors would call the police every time. Police officer Janet Williams was tired of taking these calls. "Billy again," she would say into her radio. "Same thing. It'll calm him down and send him away." Social worker Maria Santos also knew Billy. She had tried to talk to him dozens of times, but Billy would either go completely silent or mumble meaningless words. "I died in Vietnam," he would say constantly. "I'm not here. I'm already dead." "It's a severe case of PTSD," Maria would explain to her colleagues. "But he's not in our records. No military service record, no social security number, no ID. It's like he never existed." Dr. Robert Chen from the VA hospital had also seen Billy. "Do you want to come get treatment?" he had asked. Billy had nodded, but his name wasn't in the records. "Do you have proof of military service?" When Billy showed the dog tags in his shirt, they were so old and unreadable that Dr. Chen couldn't understand anything. Business owners complained about Billy. "He's bad for tourism," said George Patterson, antique shop owner. "When customers come and see this man, they get uncomfortable. His smell, his appearance, it doesn't suit this town." Mayor Susan Wright kept the Billy issue on the agenda at regular meetings. "We need to find a solution. Can't we send the man somewhere else, to another town, to a long-term care facility?" But Billy wasn't going anywhere. It was as if he belonged to the town, as if that was his place. Children were afraid of Billy. Their mothers would say, "Don't go near Billy. He might be dangerous." Some young people would get brave and throw coins at him, then run away laughing. Billy never reacted. He would just look as if he was very far away. Billy wore 2 dog tags around his neck. At the end of a metal chain, two small metal pieces touching his chest. Most of the time they were hidden inside his shirt, but sometimes they were visible. They were old, tarnished, the writing unreadable. When people noticed them, they would say, "They must be fake. A real soldier wouldn't be like this." Dr. Patricia Hayes came to Millbrook on October 28, 2024. A retired military historian who had been a professor at the University of Denver and written dozens of books on the Vietnam War. Her reason for coming to Millbrook was to research the old military base near the town. Walking down Main Street, she saw Billy. He was sitting on a bench in the park holding coffee in a paper cup, staring across with empty eyes. What caught Dr. Hayes' attention was Billy's jacket. Military camouflage, old, but looked original, from the Vietnam era. She approached with curiosity. "Hello," she said kindly. Billy looked at her. There was a brief sparkle in his eyes, then it clouded again. "That's a very nice jacket," she said. "Is it from the Vietnam era?" Billy said nothing. He just pointed to the chest part of his jacket. Dr. Hayes looked and saw the dog tags. The chain was outside his shirt. "Are those your dog tags?" she asked. Billy nodded. "May I see them?" Billy hesitated, then slowly lifted the tags from his chest and extended them to Dr. Hayes. Dr. Hayes took the tags in her hand. The metal was cold heavy. The writing on them was indeed very faint and unreadable. But as a military historian, she was experienced in reading such tags. She began examining them carefully. On the first tag, there was a name but very unclear. William. The rest was erased. Below were numbers most unreadable. But one detail caught her attention. Blood type. O-N-E was clearly written. She turned the second tag, and her heart stopped. Very faint but readable, it said M-O-H, and below a date, 1975. Dr. Hayes' breath caught. M-O-H Medal of Honor, America's highest military honor. These tags, she began, but Billy had already taken them back. "Nobody believes," said Billy quietly. It was the first time he had formed a clear sentence. "Nobody believes." Dr. Hayes was in shock. "I believe," she said. "I'm a military historian. I can understand these tags." Billy looked at her for a long time. In his eyes there was doubt, fear, and for the first time in a very long time, a glimmer of hope. "Come with me," said Dr. Hayes. "I want to talk to you." They sat in a nearby cafe. Dr. Hayes ordered Billy hot food, got coffee. Billy was cautious at first, but slowly began to open up. "Is your name William?" Dr. Hayes asked. "William Harrison Thompson," said Billy. "Everyone called me Billy. Used to call me." Are you a Medal of Honor recipient?" Billy nodded. 1975. But then everything got confused. "I woke up in the hospital. My head was confused. My memory wasn't right. My family didn't recognize me. They abandoned me." Dr. Hayes began taking notes. "What unit were you in?" 23rd Airborne Brigade, 2nd Battalion. Dr. Hayes' heart raced. The 173rd Airborne Brigade was one of the most famous units in Vietnam. "What year?" she asked. 1968 to 1975, 7 years. Hill, 875, Ashao Valley, Cambodia. Billy's eyes drifted into the distance. "So many friends died. I died too, but I'm still here." Dr. Hayes took out her phone. "Can you wait a minute? I want to check something." She accessed the military archive database. She typed William Harrison Thompson. She searched, and she found it. William Harrison Thompson 173rd Airborne Brigade, 1968-1975. Medal of Honor recipient, 1975. Serious head trauma during operation, hospitalized for extended period, removed from military records in 1976. Last known address, none. Last known status, unknown. Dr. Hayes showed the phone to Billy. "Is this you?" Billy looked at the screen. There was his photo, young uniformed, decorated. From 1975. "That's me," he said quietly. But that man died. That man turned out to be a hero. I'm just Billy. Dr. Hayes began to cry. "You are that hero," she said. "You never died. You are living here. Just nobody recognizes you." That evening, Dr. Hayes called Mayor Susan Wright. "We need to have an urgent meeting," she said, "about Billy." The next morning, a small group gathered at the city hall. The mayor, police chief, social worker, Maria Dr. Chen, and several town leaders. Dr. Hayes spoke with the documents in her hand. "Mr. William Harrison Thompson, known to you as Billy, is a Medal of Honor recipient war veteran. He suffered head trauma in 1975 and has been considered missing since then. His family didn't recognize him. He wasn't registered in the system." The room fell silent. "You must be joking," said George Patterson. "That drunk that he can't be a hero." Dr. Hayes showed them Billy's photo. 1975 Medal of Honor ceremony. Young, proud, uniformed William Thompson. "This is the same person," she said, 40 years later as a result of trauma and neglect. Mayor Susan Wright was ashamed. We were trying to kick him out." Police Chief Martin Douglas shook his head. "I don't know how many times I arrested him. I never asked. I never really asked who he was." Maria Santos was crying. "I tried so hard to help, but I never really listened." Dr. Hayes continued. "The Medal of Honor is his story of courage and sacrifice. 1975 on the Cambodia border. His unit was ambushed. 23 soldiers were trapped. William went back alone, was wounded 3 times, but saved all 23 men. During this, a shrapnel fragment hit his head. Memory loss began after surgery." The room was completely silent. The rest is the story we all know. Lost, forgotten, excluded from society. But he is still that hero. Just the war never ends in his head. The mayor stood up. "What should we do?" "First, we need to help him. Medical care, housing, PTSD treatment. Then we need to tell his story. People should know." That afternoon, they found Billy. He was sitting in Lincoln Park on his usual bench, but this time he wasn't alone. The mayor police chief, Dr. Hayes, and Maria were with him. "Billy," said the mayor, "we apologize. We apologize to you." Billy looked at them. He didn't understand. "You are a hero," said the police chief, "and we misjudged you." Dr. Hayes stepped forward. "William, I want to offer you a proposal, a proper place, medical care, treatment, and a chance to tell your story." Billy thought for a long time. "My story? Yes, people should know your story. You are a real hero." Billy nodded. "But am I not crazy? Am I not a drunk?" "You are a sick hero," said Maria, "and we will heal you." In the following days, Billy's life changed. They gave him a small but clean apartment, regular meals, clean clothes, medical care, and most importantly, PTSD treatment. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, a specialist from the VA, began working with Billy. "The war is still going on in your head," she told him. "But the war is over. You are safe." Treatment lasted for months. Billy slowly began to remember. Not just the war, but his pre-war life too. His family friends' dreams. "I wanted to be a teacher," he told Dr. Walsh one day, before the war. "A math teacher." "You can still be one now," said Dr. Walsh, "in a different way, but you can be a teacher." Billy's story slowly spread throughout the town. At first there was shock, then shame, then respect. George Patterson hung Billy's 1975 photo in his shop. "Our town's hero," he wrote underneath. High school history teacher Robert Miller invited Billy to his class. "Would you tell my students about Vietnam?" Billy hesitated. I don't speak well." "You lived it," said the teacher. "That's the best telling." When Billy spoke to the students, he was surprised. They listened. They really listened. They asked questions, and Billy answered. "War is not like in movies," he told them. War empties you inside. But sometimes there are things you have to do for your friends." A student asked, "Were you scared?" "Always," said Billy. "But don't let fear stop you. Fear is normal. What's important is doing the right thing." Months later, the town organized a special ceremony for Billy. Recognition ceremony for our hero, they called it. The whole town came. Billy was dressed cleanly, had combed his hair, his dog tags shining proudly on his chest. The mayor spoke. "We treated William Thompson badly for years. We didn't recognize him, understand him, show him respect. Today, we correct this mistake." Billy approached the microphone. His hand was trembling, but his voice was clear. "I'm not angry at you," he said, "because I had lost myself too. But now I've found myself. You helped. This town healed me." He paused, his eyes filled. "In the war, I saved 23 men. But you saved me. Thank you." Applause. Standing ovation, crying. Billy was no longer alone. Today, William Billy Thompson lives in Millbrook. In a clean, safe home, he receives regular treatment. And most importantly, he is the town's guest of honor. He tells history to high school students. He talks to young people about courage and sacrifice. He helps veterans with PTSD. And his dog tags are no longer hidden. They shine proudly on his chest. Because Billy now knows his own story. And that story is a story of heroism. This story shows us that heroes are not always as they appear. Sometimes they are broken, lost, pushed to the margins of society. But true identity is never lost. It just waits to be discovered. And sometimes the greatest heroism is giving a second chance, trying to understand, and listening before judging. I ask you, have you ever met someone who was much more than they appeared? Were you surprised when you learned their real story? Share in the comments. Because here at One Human, One Story, we believe that every person has a story inside, and sometimes the most powerful stories are found in the most unexpected places. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, subscribe and help us spread the stories of forgotten heroes. We will see you in the next story. And until then, remember, sometimes heroes are hidden, but never lost.